Alright, I only have about less than 30 minutes to show you what I did. As I was talking earlier, here is this 4-inch square fabric that I had cut out of the piece of the fold of fabric my client had given me, and I wanted to test the shrinkage. So this was supposed to be 4 inches square by 4 inches square. Once I did a really good steam press, because this was a kind of loosely woven fabric. So once I did a steam press to kind of shrink it up, I came up with, well, that one's still at 4 inches. This one is at 3 7/8. So on one end, it's shrunk on one length or width, it shrunk up 3/4 of an inch. And on the other way, it didn't shrink at all. Okay. I went ahead and cut my pattern pieces out large. Let's start with a small piece. Okay. Showed you the video on matching all the plaids. It's a box jacket. Let's do the jacket facings. Now I've got this with a good head of steam going. I'm going to press from the wrong side, so I need to separate these out. Okay, I want to kind of measure at the widest width and the length. So the widest width is going to be around here, which is 6 1/2. Longest, the length is going to be at 29 3/4. We have 6 1/2 by 29 3/4. Let's see how much it shrinks up. And which way it shrinks. Now I've got double towels underneath this. It's actually my mom used these fold up cardboard with all the inch markers on it to block her knitting. Because unless you're only going to use scissors, you cannot use it as a layout board for cutting out garment pieces. And I don't like it for that because it really doesn't get flat. They compress it into this folded nightmare that will never get flat. And how do you store such a big piece? I mean, it's probably about 4 foot by 3. Alright. Now we're just giving it a nice steam press. Now remember, I had to extend the front by 3/8. Okay. Let's see how much it's shrunken and which way. Didn't shrink anything in the width. Didn't really shrink any in the length. So I think that we're okay to recut this. Now to recut this, yeah, I've got some chalk marks here I've got to get rid of. To recut this, I've got to come in here and match all of these stripes and plaids up down both sides. And then this is going to be placed. I've got to see how far I need out here, and I think that's probably about right. So I'll place that there, and then I'll go ahead and cut around the pattern. I only cut large because I wanted to account for any shrinkage that this was going to give me through the steam pressings. So now that I've steamed it, and we could even go and steam both of them together, nothing wrong with that. Probably shouldn't have steamed all this chalk mark, but it'll come out. It's just chalk. Now what I like to do, when I get my fabric, I always like to put the inside or the right side to the inside. And the reason for that is because if I have dirty hands and I start handling my fabric, I'll be handling it from the outside or the inside of the fabric, the wrong side. And it won't stain on the right side. You always have oils coming off your hands. And because I use natural soap, I have more natural oils, or more oils coming off my hands. So, even though I get one of those baby wipes or Cottonelle Fresh Clean Team wipes or whatever in the world those are, I keep a little thing of those in my sewing room, and before I sew, I always wipe my hands off with them, just to make sure that any oils aren't on my hands that'll transfer. So that's what you do to recut. I'll have to go in here and match these up and recut them out, but that's basically all I'm going to do on that. Stay tuned for the next segment when I'm going to baste all this together and get it ready for a fit for this weekend. Thanks for watching. Okay, I'm continuing on with the blue and white plaid jacket. Let me pull my pin out, or my needle. Put it up here so I know where it is. And this is the first part of the jacket cutting out and everything. I've already showed you how I match my plaids on a flat fold. This is an even spaced, it's an even plaid, so it's the same one way as the other way as the other way as the other way. So it's a four-way plaid, same thing. And what I've done here, I went ahead and cut it raw, as you saw. Here's my pattern piece from Pattern Master Boutique. This actually is supposed to flip this way. See how much bigger I made it? Made it about a ½ inch longer and probably about another 3/4 of an inch in width. So that gives me enough room so that I can come in here, and let me just show you right quick. I'll put these pins back in a minute. Okay, what I've done, I've already pinned the other way around, but here's what I did. Let me pull this one out so we can get a nice corner up. I go around, and what I like to do on this particular plaid, I'll stick my pin right here. I don't know if you can see it. Let me get tighter. Okay, where are you? Yep. There we go. Let's see if that'll clear up. No. Let's get it tighter. Okay. This little square of gray lines right here, you've got a 4 square. 1, 2, 3, 4 within the blues. So I will stick my pin in one point, one corner of the top, fold it back, find that corner in the bottom, and pin it through. And then I'll flip it onto the back to make sure my pin went right in the center of that line, which it did. So I went ahead and went through the rest of this and just found some spots to pin it and get everything straight. Let's go down here and get this one. Come up here to this spot. That one's a little bit off, so, or is it off because that is, yeah, it was off only because this stripe is wider than the bottom one, so it was fine. You might sometimes have to count your threads in order to find out where the center part is. And then this guy's going to go right down here. Okay, so I'm pretty much matched up. Now the next thing I'm going to do, because I have to cut this again, I'm going to go ahead, let me get you out a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and baste it. Hi, doggies. Hold on just a minute, I'll be right back. Okay. People in here getting food, so we're going to go in, smoky all the way, and we're going to baste this up. We're going to baste these two pieces together. That's going to hold the lines together. And what I do, I just take about a 3/8 of an inch stitch, and I'm going to go and do that just on the blues. It's going to leave a long baste, but it'll hold everything together at these blue points, which is what I want. Okay, that's done. Now, what I like to do is to stick my needle in my thread. That way it's always sticking up. Let's move this guy out of the way. And now, yes, I've got my remote. All right, let's take some pins out first. I've gone ahead and basted it, and it looks kind of lumpy. I know. It looks kind of lumpy. Normally I count my pins because I'm OCD. Those are called the elements. All right, now we are going to press this up. Now I've just got a couple of towels underneath here. I just make sure I get them flat underneath so I don't have any wrinkles come through. But I want to give it a good press and steam. Pull these wrinkles out of this. Okay. There's some wrinkles down there. I'll just have to move this lower, I guess. Let's do half. Okay. That looks good. My cat was sitting on my cord. Yep, there's another pin. You don't want the imprint of a pin, so make sure you get all your pins out. Although it really wouldn't show through on this. And give it a good steam press. I'll tighten up those fibers. Shrink it to where it needs to be shrunk. Do a press, not an iron. Pick up, put down. Because if you iron, you're going to get your plaids and stuff off kilter. Now you could even go and put some pins and some basting stitches up through the center and through the center here if you wanted to just make sure. But for my purposes, this is going to be fine. This is a pretty manageable fabric. It's not stiff, but it is structured, so we're okay. So that's all I have to do. Next thing we'll do, wrong side. Next thing I do is go over here, place this here, and cut it out according to the sleeve. And I move on to the next one. So I'm going to do that with all the pattern pieces. There's a lot of them. If you sew for other people, do not let them try and fuss with you. I know my house is dirty, forget it. When I'm working, I don't clean. Don't let people fuss with you about how much you charge or how much a garment is going to ultimately cost them. As you can see from what I've had to do with plaids, getting them matched up just to do the rough cut took 4 hours. Going ahead and redoing them if you want to do it right and you want all of your plaids to match, even in the center front of your pants, your side seams going around the center front of your pant where it's going to angle down. You want all of those plaids to match. Otherwise it's going to be like a project garment, as I call them in design school. It's just a project garment where you're supposed to mess up so you can be critiqued. If you're charging for someone for something, you can't mess it up. You've got to do it right. So it doesn't matter how many test garments you make. If you put it on a plaid or something that requires your fabrics to be matched up like a lace, then you're gonna spend another 10 hours probably just matching up. So don't let your customers fool you or try to knock you down in price. You know what is necessary in order to get the garment the way it's supposed to look. You know all the steps that are necessary. They don't know squat. So if you have to, you can sit down and explain to them what you have to do in order for this to do. What I do whenever I send an invoice out, I always keep a list of what all I did, everything I did, cut out, layout, design, fit, anything I do, and I keep track of it with my stopwatch so that I have times for everything that I do, and I print that off and I present it to my client so that they have an accurate picture of how long it takes to make a garment and what all is required. If they come back as a repeat customer, then they're not going to be surprised. Now, because making a well-made garment is time consuming and your time is worth it. So you will find clients eventually who understand this, but it might be a little slow going. Just make sure that every client you do make something for, that it is perfect and they are satisfied. And if they're not satisfied with something, take it back, take it out, refit it. If you're working with clients, you could even cut a 1-inch seam line or seam allowance, so you have enough room to do that. Anyway, that's my advice, and I hope you all had a great time watching this. The next thing we're going to do is the basting together, because I have a fit this weekend and today's Wednesday, so we only have like about 3 or 4 days. So I'll get the camera out when I'm ready to start sewing on this. Thanks for watching. Glad y'all could see me. Yeah, I know I'm ugly. That's why I never take my picture. Anyway, talk to y'all later. Bye.